Hi. Uh, I've never really made a video like this, but I thought it'd be good to do. After talking to my wife, 2018 was a wild year for us, as a lot of our close friends and family know. Um, February 1st, which will be the day I post this video, will be our twin boys' first birthday. So let me flash back. Uh, February 1st, 2018, 6 a.m. My wife woke up. She was in pain. Obviously she's got twins. Who can blame her? Saying she wasn't feeling too good, wasn't feeling up for going to work. So I ended up having to go to work for a little bit. As I was driving in, she called me saying that she felt like she needed to get to the doctor. So I turned around, headed back home. We were ready to take her, trying to figure out what we were going to do with our daughter. She had school starting at 9 o'clock. She said she'll be fine. She can stick it out. So we took our daughter to school, dropped her off at 9 o'clock, drove to the hospital, went into the OB triage at UNMH, University of New Mexico Hospital. Come to find out, my wife was already 9 centimeters dilated. Yeah. How she dealt with that pain, I could not even imagine. There's nothing I can compare probably to that. So they rushed her in to emergency C-section. She ended up having me put under, and our boys were born. 10:27 a.m. and 10:29 a.m. 2 minutes apart. Two boys. That day has forever burned into my memory. Not just because of the sheer joy of their birth, but the fear that came along with it. See, to backtrack even farther, to October of 2018. I'm sorry, 2017. We found out baby A had an enlarged bladder. Okay, it's never a good sign, right? We Googled, tried to find information, tried to see if anybody had experienced anything like this. And, you Google anything, you get tons of different answers, but none of them are exactly like your case or your scenario or what you're going through. They wanted to do a bunch of tests, which we declined because it put then baby B in jeopardy of a miscarriage or something terrible happening for both of them. So we stuck it out. Along those lines, months after October, we were in and out of the doctors, went to specialists every week, had ultrasounds every week. Come to find out, baby A had a post-urethral valve blockage, which is basically, the bottom portion coming out of his little wee-wee. The valves didn't open all the way. One was partially closed. So he was able to go to the restroom, but wasn't able to go enough to empty out his bladder completely, causing his bladder to expand. So the boys were born, baby A and baby B, 10:27 a.m. and 10:29 a.m. We hadn't named them yet. I wanted to wait till my wife was out and was able to come see him, and I wanted her to pick who was who. We already had names picked out. During that time, waiting for her, baby A had a collapsed lung. He had a hard time. For any parent that has had a child in the NICU, it's probably the hardest thing. You're helpless, and all you can do is just stand there. And I can also say to you that don't ever feel like you're in the way of those people. Those people will support you because they know not only is your child going through it, but you are also. They stabilized baby A as baby B was being stabilized and was doing good. They were both on oxygen. Baby A ended up having to be hooked up to a jet, which basically just shoots high PSI air into his lungs to help keep him expanded. Brittany was finally able to come in, naming the boys. Baby A, as some of you know, Ethan, and baby B's Jackson. Two strong little men. That first week of their birth, Ethan, the one with the valve blockage, had kidney failure. It was nothing but bad news within the first couple weeks for him. There was no sleep. The amount of fear that took over myself, my wife, and the rest of my family. Our daughter, she didn't understand, but she knew something was wrong. It wasn't looking good for him. Plain and simple. There were a bunch of options that we could have taken. Some that I like to believe were, experimental in a sense, with a premature baby weighing 4 pounds. His brother weighing 5, so they were good size. But the options were slim and weren't guaranteed. One of those being was to send Ethan to Stanford was manual dialysis, meaning that they would have to manually, exchange the fluid in and out of him, every hour, if not less. Meaning we couldn't touch him, we couldn't hold him, we couldn't do anything. Jackson, on the other hand, he had problems with his breathing. He was a dark baby. The enzymes in his liver and all that stuff. So he got to bake in what we called the tanning booth a lot. He earned the nickname Oso, the sleeping bear. Ethan kept pushing. Kid didn't give up. Wide awake, always looking at you. Anytime you got near him, he would eye lock with you, and he would look at you, and not just at you, but like into you. It's pretty difficult to talk about, but he was a special kid. He is a special kid. 2 weeks passed. They kept doing labs, every day, every other day. His creatinine level, which had skyrocketed, his BUN, which is blood urea nitrogen, was through the roof. And we were expecting the worst. Pretty much what it came down to is we wanted him to have quality of life while he was with us, rather than being a test subject, in a sense, for what he was going through. And Ethan knew that. We were there with him every day. We'd take our daughter to school. We'd be at the hospital, at the NICU, all day until 5, 6 o'clock. So those 2 weeks passed, and things changed. Ethan was a fighter. He wasn't going anywhere. His creatinine level started to drop. His BUN started to stabilize. Everything started to go down. He was making it known that he was not going to give up, and he was going to continue. I still remember the first conversation we had with the Dr. Wong of nephrology, giving us the first bad news about his situation and the outlook of what may come of it. He broke down crying along with everybody in the room. I've never seen a doctor cry. So week 3 comes. Ethan made a turnaround. He was doing fantastic. He was eating. Granted, it was pretty much being force fed. His brother right along with him. Got up to weight. Started gaining weight. His lung healed. He was able to get off his jet machine, and was just put on a basic nasal cannula. He was doing fantastic. 43 days we spent in the NICU. And I say we because we were there every day, along with our kids. And for parents out there that have never gone through this, and to the parents who have, you can imagine, and what it's like. There's kids out there, babies that are born worse situations than ours. Some not so bad compared to ours. But we're all parents. We're all helpless watching our children go through this, wishing we could take it from them, wishing we could make it better. But really the only way we can is to be there for them, hold them, touch them, kiss them, talk to them. 43 days. Ethan had a G-tube put into his stomach to make sure that whatever he couldn't take by bottle, we could push through his G-tube into his stomach, so no matter what, he was getting his full food. Jackson kept finding reasons to stay in the NICU with his brother. Every time, they would talk about he'd be ready to be released and discharged, he'd find some reason to stay behind. It's like he listened to the doctors doing their rounds on Ethan, and he knew that he had to be there for his brother. It's wild to say, but it's absolute truth. After Ethan's first surgery for his G-tube, he got the blockage obliterated, basically just removed. He was able to pee. Plain and simple. Kid turned it around. Then 35-day-old baby made up his own mind. Imagine that. Me as an adult can't even make up my own mind sometimes. It's wild to think that stuff like this happens with babies, with your own kids. At the hospital, I started having a different lookout with everything. Looking at people, seeing them walk in and out of that place, even around town. I knew what I was hiding and what I was holding in and what I wasn't sharing with people. So I started to imagine what other people could be hiding, could be holding in, could not be sharing with other people. I can't complain about anything anymore. Seeing what my son has gone through this last year, I can't complain about shit. Because he's dealt with a lot more than I have ever dealt with. My wife, who is an incredible woman, my best friend, is an incredible mom. Taking care of those boys every single day. Taking care of our daughter. So parents out there, if you're going through any situation like we did, you're not alone. There are lots of us out there. If you ever feel like you need to talk about it or you have questions, maybe you find yourself in the same situation or the same fears through, your pregnancy or whatever it might be, my wife and I are more than happy to talk to you about it. We can share our experience. It's rough. It's wild. Ethan's now on home dialysis, peritoneal dialysis. So he's able to stay home. He does his treatment throughout the night when he's sleeping, 10 hours. He gets shots, once, twice, 3 times a week, all depending on what the doctors order down. He's on different medications, and actually coming up in March, he has his first evaluation with Stanford Children's Hospital. So we'll be flying out there, basically to see if where he's standing with his, size. Can he hold an adult kidney? Does he need a smaller kidney? What is it? He just needs a kidney. Type O blood. So if anybody out there has the same blood type, and I feel like giving the greatest gift, get a hold of us. We can share information. To all the doctors at University of New Mexico Hospital have a special place in our hearts in that NICU unit. The nurses, the doctors now, and the nurses now that take care of Ethan. They were there for him. They were there for us. And we can never thank them enough for what they've done and what they did. So again, happy birthday to my boys. 1 year. You're here. Oh, and just to add, I was saying Jackson was finding reasons to stay in the day before or the week before they were released. They were, side by side in their cribs in the NICU, and it was the doctor was saying, well, he's ready, talking to Ethan, ready to be discharged. He can go home on Thursday. Not even a minute after they said that, Jackson ripped out his nasal cannula. Was done. I'm ready to go too. It was the coolest thing ever. So, on a happy note, boys are one. They have the greatest big sister, an incredible mother, my wife. And to any of you that feel like you need to talk to somebody about anything,